All right, welcome everyone. It's so glad to have everyone here this evening. I'm Alice Kim, Director of Practice and the Beyond Prisons Initiative at the Center for the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture at the University of Chicago. I want to start our evening with gratitude. Gratitude to Colette, Diana, and the Women's Justice Institute for hosting us in this gorgeous space. Gratitude to the Beyond Prisons team who make the day-to-day work a joy. Audrey Catalano, where are you, Audrey? On the back. Destiny Jenkins, Euro Lee, Taji Chesimit, Noah Crutchfield, Iman Snowbar. We also have CSRPC's Executive Director, Tracy Matthews, in the house, and our Communications Director, Anaga Dalal, in the house. So thanks to the CSRPC team. And then, of course, gratitude to all the panelists. I love you all, your beautiful minds, and your generosity. Want to thank our co-sponsors and our tabling organizations, Prison+Neighborhood Arts and Education Project, Illinois Prison Project, Chicago Votes, Women's Justice Institute, Parole Illinois, Liberation Library, Walls Turn Sideways, Justice for Robert Curry, Free Darrell Fair. Thank you all for the work organizing our communities on both sides of the wall. And also thanks to Woodspun Chicago, who helped make this forum possible. So tonight's conversation is being streamed by the Public Media Institute. You can also find the recording of this event on lumpentv.org. So thanks to PMI for being here and live streaming, and to all our audience members who are watching virtually. And I think everyone is full, right, y'all? I think thanks so much to Chaparral and Celebrations by Us for nourishing us with the delicious food this evening. Okay, so the idea for this forum was hatched at a convening of alternative media makers and listeners during the Democratic National Convention. At this event, Ronaldo, Jimmy, and I were talking about what's missing from the national conversation on mass incarceration, and also how we need to create our own content and our own media platforms. This is something that folks on the inside have also been calling for, those of us who can't be here with us today because they are locked up behind bars. And in light of the looming elections, we decided to organize a panel that centers the experiences of people who are directly system impacted, with the understanding that these voices and experiences are critical to understanding and making a more just and humane world. So to kick us off tonight, we have a very special recording, a spoken word performance by T.K. Hendricks, a poet, a writer, and a leading member of the PNAP think tank at Stateville. TK was transferred to Shawnee in August, and many of us who have worked with him for years have not been able to speak with him since then. In the words of Iman Snowbar, a student who works with Beyond Prisons and was in a mixed enrollment class that TK was also in, TK is, quote, ambitious, well-spoken, kind, and although the world has not been kind to him, he is emboldened to do better for the world. So this is TK. Thank you, TK. And now it's my pleasure to hand things over to Brandis Friedman. Many of us watch Brandis on her shows, Chicago Tonight and Black Voices on WTTW, and we're so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Alice. And it is my pleasure to be here. It's actually kind of like fun to see like so many familiar faces. It's like a reunion. So thank you for having me. Otherwise, I'm not sure when I'd get to see some of you again. So thank you for having me. I think, and hello, everybody. Hi, Alex. We've met before, right? Okay, so we haven't, right? I just wanted to say hi because I was able to say hello to everybody else on the panel. I know you and I know what you do. So it's good to meet you in person. So to that end, though, I'm going to ask our panelists to go down the line and introduce themselves. I think everybody, for the most part, we know everybody, but tell me who you are and a little bit about what you do. Keep it brief because we're going to talk some more. And this is not directed at you, Ronaldo. It is only because you are sitting closest to me. And with that, I'm going to start with you.
I will keep it very brief. I'm Ronaldo Hudson, and I am the Director of Education for the Illinois Prison Project, and I work to decarcerate. My main objective now is to connect decarceration with also ending the death penalty and also death by incarceration, and I want to push that narrative.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alex. I work full-time for Chicago Votes, where we're fighting for voting rights for folks that have records and that are currently in prison. And then I also have the privilege of working with Parole Illinois and the Coalition to Decarcerate as well.
Hey, I'm Colette Payne. I'm the director here, and I'm sick. I can't pass my notes like that. But pass him on wrong. Do you want me to get a mask, Bella? A little bit. Diana, can you hand me a mask from over there? Because I am sick. I'm sorry, Bella. I'm sorry, Bella. Sorry, Alex. do a number of things. I have worked to remove barriers to employment and housing for those who have lived experience, work to reunite moms with their kids. I mean, I do whatever that I can do within my power to get folks free and liberated.
My name is Bella Boz. Boz is BAHHS. That stands for Black Ancestors Here, Healing Society, not bars, not prisons, not police. We heal us, we keep us safe, we get us free. I am obviously a poet, an artist, an arts activist, a raptivist, if you will. I got some bars for y'all tonight.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. My name is James Soto. Most people know me as Jimmy Soto. I currently work at the University of Chicago at the Center for the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture as a community justice practitioner and fellow. I also work at the Northwestern School of Law as a paralegal. I volunteer for Wall Street Sideways, Parole Illinois, Coalition to Incarcerate. I can go on and on, but I'm not going to give you all these accolades because I do a lot. But the main thing is that was true to my heart as I formed a movement called Still Communities, Not Prisons, which centered on trying to close these horrible places and to look for pathways for early release.
Thanks, everybody. We're sorry you're not feeling well, Colette. So we'll start with a few things, right? Because there is the presidential election, and that's definitely a thing. But I also want to talk about our local races because we're electing a state's attorney next week, and I feel like that's something that actually has a much bigger impact on a local level. But let's start with the presidential election because that election's in exactly 1 week from today. And I just want to get a quick beat, right, from each of you, like your impressions of the two candidates, both of them.
Don't do that. I think it's an obvious hard thing. I think with he who will go without a name, right, clearly shows America that he cares nothing about us. But we also have a candidate that I would love that they would not use the narrative of the prosecutor president. You know, I think that that's an open offense to someone like me who have offended but also now work toward healing. And so I would love for them to say my background was in prosecuting. My job is to serve the people. And so for me, that's what I want to get out there. Like, it's a hard one. And Angela Davis said it really well a few weeks ago. You might have to hold your nose and then pull the lever.
Does anyone else want to go next?
All right, I would say that, you know, similar to the feeling that Ronaldo expressed, I pose it as, for lack of a better term, the lesser of two evils. The reason why I say that is because the candidate for the Democratic Party, while I would love to see a woman of color come and be president of the United States, she comes with a whole lot of baggage, meaning she has a background in prosecuting people, putting people in prison. She had opportunities to get people off death row and or excommunicate their sentences to the governor, and she did not. I think that, of course, the other side is a person who is stoking the flames of racism, and also he is really bringing this fear narrative to say that they're going to see the white race be erased, or there's going to be some type of, this cancel culture type of thing. And so a lot of people are feeding into it. But what I really see is that you see the same division amongst people of color like you do everywhere else in the United States, meaning some people will support, it's pretty split with support either candidate. So I just hope that the best one wins.
You want to go next, Alex? You want me to go? Yeah, go for it. Oh, y'all get me well. I really don't know. Like, I would say, with either one of them, like, what's going to happen, what has been happening in society when it comes to the presidents that were before us. And, I can agree with both you, Jimmy, and Ronaldo, I would say like it's two evils. And we oftentimes think, black people, people of color, that when we put someone in office who looks like us, that they're going to save us, when it actually takes us to save us. Hell, I've been poor all my life. I've been struggling all my life. The healthcare system has sucked all my life. Especially when my mother was sick and had dementia, like the whole healthcare system changed drastically for the worse. And it may get worser. So, I don't know, of course I'm gonna vote because my ancestors want me to exercise my right because we did not have that right. But I bet you I ain't voting for Trump.
Yes, sir.
I personally don't feel like it's a snapshot question. I feel like maybe you can gauge how I feel about the candidates when I answer some other questions.
I think what I would say, just to paint, my political stance for everybody, is that I do not believe in the legitimacy of this federal government. I believe this is all stolen land, and I believe that this government was started by bringing millions of bodies here to be slaves, and now many of these folks are not slaves, they're called criminals and prisoners. And if we are ever looking to our federal government, especially the president, for any type of savior, that is the trick, and we will continue to lose our people, because I have lost too many, specifically black women, this year to our hospitals who don't believe black women when they show up. And these are in Democrat states, blue, 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 blue on blue spaces, right? And when people are talking about the presidential election, they're talking about being strategic, right? So you're choosing which political climate we're going to be organizing under. And so if our only, thing we're saying is, do you want to be organizing under Kamala or Trump? I'm asking folks, what are you doing right now under Biden and Kamala? They're not going to help us either way. No one's giving us universal health care, right? No one in the presidency is going to say, oh, wait, we actually do need to pay all these student loans. Because if Biden wasn't going to do it, Trump's definitely not going to do it. And so when I think about the presidential election, it's what we hear about every 4 years, and it's what's on the news, and it's what you all should pay attention to and nothing else. Put all of your energy and money just in the presidential election and don't pay attention to anything else that's going on. Don't think about rioting. Don't think about occupying land or protesting. Show up and vote for the president. And that is the biggest thing that will change everything, right? And that is the lie that keeps us so complicit under, especially a Democrat. So no matter who wins, this country's still gonna be shit and still treat all the people who are in prisons like shit. Especially, I'm thinking about all the people in prisons in Florida and affected by the hurricanes. That's under Biden, right? So the people that are so dearest to my heart right now, the U.S. government is not it for them. And so, what are we doing to honor the Black Panthers, right, in their anniversary? What are we doing to say, this is not working for us, y'all, and learn the history that exists and that is readily accessible? We have amazing professors in here that can help teach, but people with experience. So I don't know, when you talk about the presidential election, my first question is, who are you voting for school board? And if you can't tell me, then the president's not going to do shit for us, right?
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, you may. Alex, I'm actually going to come right back to you. Tell us, if you would, a little bit about the work that Chicago Votes does to get folks who are incarcerated civically educated. And while we're on it, let's have a quick refresher on the rights to vote that people who are system impacted have.
Yes. So with bringing it back to DePaul, shout out Dr. Rivers. DePaul, I got into this work through doing an Inside Out class at DePaul where we went inside Stateville. And through that law and politics think tank, we started drafting a bill language to make civics courses mandatory for everyone about to get out of prison, because you talk to anyone with a felony and most of them say, I can't vote because I have a felony. Someone's telling them this lie. They're not making it up themselves, you know? And so where do you stop that misinformation? And the goal is before people get out of prison. And if you could have civics courses for everyone that are peer taught, so people that are also inside and can actually relate, why does voting even matter to folks who are thinking about getting out and reentry, right? And not thinking about voting. And so we have monthly trainings for peer educators across the state. And yeah, basically the law in Illinois is that you lose your right to vote when you've been convicted and you are serving time in a correctional institution. So if you're convicted to like probation, you don't lose that right to vote. It's only, so felony probation, they don't lose their right to vote. But felony serving time inside, you do lose your right to vote. And right when you get out, you have your right restored. So to be clear, if you're in a ATC, like a halfway house, like you don't have your right to vote. And if you're on medical furlough, you don't have your right to vote because you're technically still like under IDOC jurisdiction. But yeah, that is the law.
All right, thank you. So still, you know, I know what you, I hear you and what you're saying on the presidential election and how, like, you know, like you said, who are you voting for school board? Who are you voting for state's attorney or the Cook County court clerk? That said, the presidential election, it brings up a lot of issues, right? And it gets folks talking. Often what we hear is, you know, the whole tough on crime ideology, and they are reluctant candidates. Candidates can be reluctant to support criminal justice reform because they fear being soft on crime. How do you push back on that whole ideology that's, you know, I think it's been around, what, in American politics since the late 60s, 70s? I see Bella handing Jimmy the mic.
Well, I see it like this, you know, that you're right, that people really don't have the full gambit of what's really going on. They're not educated in the fact that the way that they're incarcerating is through this false view that of deterrence. That's squarely it. That's what brought in the 1994 National Crime Bill, which candidates time and time again for the presidency has said that was bad legislation, including Clinton, who signed it. You know, so I would say that, you know, it's a lot of misinformation, like Alex pointed to, but it's a lot of people that are not educated in terms of why do we really incarcerate the people the way we do? You know, like I said, they think that by giving more time that you're going to deter someone from committing crime, when the data and all the research shows otherwise. You know, you talk about how you asked her about the history of the vote, right? Well, there's this exclusion of the black body or the brown body from the very beginning, not to vote, you know. But for that matter, they didn't want women to vote, you know. So when we had this, I won't go back as Professor Rivers can eloquently give us the history on it. I will just say, when it comes from Europe to the United States, that they had that same way of thinking of having exclusion of people that were not going to vote. And if you do vote, it really doesn't matter because we're going to do whatever we want to do anyway.
Bella, Colette, Ronaldo, thoughts? Yeah, it's just, you know, how can you push back on that, the whole tough on crime ideology that some politicians seem to think is necessary, that, you know, if you don't support criminal justice, or if you do support criminal justice reform, that you're soft on crime. Air quotes.
I mean, America is funding a genocide right now, currently, at this very moment. Like, Israel is breaking every international law it can. So, how do we push back if we tell the truth? That's what we are here to do. We are here to tell the truth about what's going on, about who America is. I think right now is the perfect time to push back on the tough on crime thing. Like, since when? Like, are you tough on crime? Like, look at all the crimes that Israel is committing. You are giving them billions of dollars. Like, give me $1 billion. Like, when I commit a crime, be that tough on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I just feel like right now is the perfect time to push back on those narratives, because really America is pushing back on it itself. It is telling like the facade is off. Like, even Kamala being the pro-democracy candidate, like, how? How are you that? We are seeing what you are doing right now, what you are okay with right now. Like, you are completely okay with white supremacy. Right? You are completely okay with apartheid. You are completely okay with ethnic cleansing. Right? Like, you cannot lie to us anymore. We see it. It's happening right now on our faces. So how do we push back on it? We pay attention to what's going on in the world, and we tell the truth about it.
Yeah, I agree, Bill. And sometimes it can be hard when laws, rules, and regulations are already created and put in place. So pushing back looks like organizing people, organizing communities, talking to your family members who have the same ideologies as people who commit crimes need to be in jail and in prison. I have a family that says that I was the only one in my family that ever been in prison or even used substances, right? And they felt that I did something wrong and I should hear that. Not looking at the historical content in how America got into the situation we're in, right? How mass incarceration was created. How in the 1960s when my grandma moved into the projects and her boyfriend, my mom's father, couldn't be there because they weren't married. So they separated them, and then drugs started sweeping into our community. It's a many of things, but if people didn't know how to organize against those things and push back and talk.
Everybody is saying really, like, and we're saying keep it real and beyond the ballot, but like we also have to put it in context, at least for me. The context is I sat in prison 37 years, and I needed someone to move, the policies and the rules of engagement. I sat in prison through 7 governors, and every prosecutor that a petition for my release came up in front of said no, and I oppose you. And that was an elected position until Kim Foxx. When Kim Foxx asked the question about second chances, in my case, I can't speak for anyone else's, right? She said, wow, we shouldn't be in that role. We can't say when enough is enough. And so we shouldn't be opposing people 30, 40, 50 years in prison. And so when I think about the election, when I think about, as much as I made my comment, I think that we're not in the world we're praying and dreaming for. We're living in a world of right now where these politicians are making decisions that are destroying people's lives. And I be damned, excuse me, could I say that? I just said it. Like, if I'll sit still and not say, well, I'm going to hold my nose and I'm going to vote. I'm going to exercise my right, because when I was given executive clemency by Governor Pritzker, I realized that my rights to vote was given back to me. And so I'm like, you know what? I don't like this dude. I remember the crime bill of '94. I remember because I was in a death row cell when the appeals were stripped, the post-conviction remedy was stripped from us. And so I think about the fact that I'm going to hold whoever is president after the election accountable for the things I want, because I haven't given up on fighting them, and I haven't surrendered what so many people have already died for. And so while I can agree with like all the stuff that is going wrong, I also know that I now have the strength to fight them. And I have a vision that I want that is not being seen, which means I need to be fighting for that. And we need to be figuring out, while we make room to disagree, okay, what do we agree to do? I'm tired of every session is about dreaming and not doing the work. And so for me, I want to be about doing the work. I want to be about pushing, hopefully, her, right? I'm not excited over the first black female president because I know too many black brilliant people, too many black brilliant women, and that's not the qualifier of their brilliance, right? I want someone that's going to say, I want to be a part of the America that's trying to change and give everybody the opportunity to be better. And we're being pivoted against each other. You know, like if you go back to the civil rights and you think about the Underground Railroad, there were white folks, like when the brother was talking about, I'm one of the white folks, I ain't looking for no white folks to save me, though. Like, I want to be clear about that. Like, I don't want you saving me. I want you marching with me. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure, like, I am not completely just, I haven't given up. And I still believe that we have a chance to be better and we have a chance to push love over hate while not surrendering our ability to war by whatever means are necessary.
Go ahead, Alex.
Just echoing what my fellow panelists have said. Is this thing on? Can y'all hear me? Okay,
I'm not
great.
sure.
Is ultimately right. It's standing on truth of when we hear about tough on crime narratives, they are based in lies. There's literally no evidence that backs up any tough on crime rhetoric. It's usually just belligerent, you know, and it's completely made up, and it's standing on truth and fighting for that truth because, like, it is so easy for people who spew, right, this rhetoric to do that and be belligerent and to try and disarm us from standing on the truth and facts, right, of like prisons aren't working, jails aren't working, police aren't working. If they were working, they would be working, right? Like, we are spending so much of our money on these systems that aren't working, and ultimately, you know, echoing Diana and Bella, or sorry, Colette and Bella, is that, like, we need truly base building in communities, like knowing everyone on our block and identifying vacant lots and building on those vacant lots and learning political history of occupying land to build gardens, to feed the block, to build clinics that don't let our people die, to build schools, to build whatever the people want, and then to learn how to protect that, right? And then learn how to build that. And there's so much political education that I know I need to do collectively to be able to do this, because they're not giving it to us. And just beyond building on our blocks, we have to understand that, like, the $900 million that Illinois is trying to spend on prisons isn't like a vacuum out of the money we're spending to bomb Gaza, right? Or to all of the oil and fracking, right? All of this is part of the same economic system that this country is relying on. And so let's not forget that tough on crime is literally what is supplying our prisons with people, right? Everyone in our prisons is at least 30K a pop. And all of that, all those people create political power for people downstate who shouldn't have a job, but they have a job because there's a prison there, right? And so they can count all those people. And so tough on crime is very strategic to keep a lot of slaves, right, first of all, and to keep political power outside of communities. And so standing on truth, but also knowing that the people who we're trying to tell the truth to were never interested in the truth. So what does it look like to not just dream it, but start demanding it and then just doing it as well?
So thank you, all of you, for your answers. So I want to talk, I guess, a little bit about why we have not, I mean, at least to my impression, right? And I feel like I'm kind of a news junkie, obviously. Why do we think we've not heard more about decarceration and reform for the criminal legal system? A little bit of data first. Recent polling conducted by BSG on behalf of Forward.us revealing widespread bipartisan support for criminal justice reform. Among likely voters, 72% believe it's important to reduce the jail and prison population in the U.S., including 84% of Democrats, 70% of independents, and 63% of Republicans. I mean, and I think that that's mostly on the Republican side because it is expensive, as we've discussed, to incarcerate someone. If, such large numbers, across the aisle, bipartisan, independent, and all that, if all of these people are like, yep, decarceration is a good idea, we should do that, why aren't we? And why hasn't this come up more? And what's it going to take to make something like that a priority for any official?
No, I think it's important. Whoever holding the mic control the narrative. It's really that simple. Like, that's why they grab the mic. That's why they fearmonger. They spend billions of dollars. Like, all the money that's being spent on the campaigns is to share information, false information, propaganda. And they use terms like propaganda. And so they're not doing anything because they don't have to. It's only like when they're forced to do it, right? They be like I've been to Springfield, like the people that do the Springfield stuff, I'm like, it's insanity, right? The way the system is. And things are done based upon who you like rather than principle. And so we don't live in a principled society. We talk a lot about community norms and social norms, and there's no universal norms, right? There's no calling. It's so much calling out there to make it easy to fight. Because you made me mad and you called me dirty or whatever. So now I fight you and I don't have to address my ill. But if you put me in the room and say, listen, I ain't finna scream at you. I don't have to scream truth at you. Even though we've been accustomed to doing it, the truth is really the truth and it'll land. And we don't want to do that. And that's why I think that there's very little being done because they don't have to do nothing. Because we ain't really listening. People are caught up in their lives and they caught up in their stuff and we get news bites. If you're not a news junkie, you like, what happened? How many people know about what happened yesterday and how much of propaganda that was put out there? And it wasn't even really it's like one guy said, people have to stop being so sensitive. And I'm like, really? None of us should be subject to harm. Regardless to your pigment. No one should be made shame because of where they come from. It's what you're doing with what you got right now. But anyway, I don't think it's in their best interest because they profit from holding the purse, holding the mic. Like I'm holding the mic, right? I could take the mic hostage and just and share all my stuff, or I could say, here.
Literally passing the mic. Anyone else want to weigh in on that? Jimmy? Or I'm not sure that one works anyway. Here, do you want to borrow mine? It does? Okay. Oh, there it is. You just got to hold it close, y'all.
Yeah, I think that the reason why we don't hear a lot of that, particularly in the national narrative, when they talk about trying to have decarceration, is because the public doesn't want to hear that. Right now, people locally hear the guns going off. They know of someone getting shot. They know someone getting killed. It happens all the time in these urban areas. And so the thing is that for a politician to go there and say, now I'm going to start reducing crime, reducing incarceration or the rates of incarceration, it's not, the public doesn't want to really hear that. I know that survey, I'm aware of that, I read it myself, where it says that most people want to see that. But for the Republican, it's simply cost benefit. They want to see smaller government, and that translates spending less money. And so that's the only reason. But it's really like, I don't know if you all are familiar with Eddie Glaude Jr. He's a professor out of Princeton, Black and Democracy book he wrote. But anyway, he talks about why people of color, black folks and brown folks, want to continue to see policing. Because what's the first person we call when some crime happens around us? We're going to call law enforcement. So it's that perpetual cycle. Huh? Well, maybe not everybody. Not everybody. But a lot of people do. You know, you're going to tell me that if you see your son or a loved one shot and killed, you're going to call somebody. The police are going to come at some point, you know. So it's just that violence has happened, but we're not getting to the root of the violence. What's causing it? We all know it's socioeconomic or socio-psychological reasons why people commit. Hurt people hurt people. That's the bottom line. But, you know, like I said, I would hope that we move towards a more restorative or non-punitive type of model, but who knows? It's not popular.
Well, I mean, and this is something, I think you all know this, we've been covering on WTTW, right? Like the prison industrial complex is real. It is not just, you know, the money that the state spends on incarcerating folks, but like, oh, what town is it? Is it Logan that we're working on? I don't remember, but like the towns around the prison crying out when, oh, you're closing my prison, we're gonna lose all the jobs and the people are gonna stop coming through here to eat snacks or whatever on the way. Like it is not that, and I don't know if I'm saying more than I should as a journalist, but it is not the responsibility of the incarcerated people to serve as an economic generator for that town. Bella?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I feel like the conversation changed because people in power are really good at setting the agenda, right, and telling you what to think about. Even if they don't tell you how to think about that thing, they tell you what to think about. So there was a point, 2020, we were all talking about mass incarceration and the police state and police brutality. Like, that was the conversation. You were not running for president and not talking about your plans for criminal justice reform, all right? Republicans and the Democrats, because they've been Republican a lot too, they have done a very good job of shifting the conversation from something we were very intentional about saying defund the police, right? Defund the police and fund our communities, right? Like defund the police and fund mental health care. Defund the police and fund the schools. Defund the police and fund the arts, all right? And now everything is defund immigration, right? Defund sanctuary cities, defund, the border, right? Like, or not, they want to heavily fund the border. But everything changed to like, no, we don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's talk about crime in the sense of these people coming here are criminals. Right, like, so that's an easier conversation for Americans to have, at least, right? Like, let's talk about crime as being something they are doing, even though we already have the most incarcerated population in the world, right? Like, it's very silly to be like, oh, all the criminals are coming from, like, all the criminals are already here. I don't know what to tell you, right? But the conversation completely changed as soon as the influx of, out migration from Venezuela and from Haiti, like all these people of color. All right, so now it's like, yeah, we can still talk about crime as racist, but we can make you believe that we not really talking about you because we talking about these other black people that look just the fuck like you. Like, I think that's where the conversation changed. Well, that's where at least I saw the conversation change. It's like, oh, we're not talking about defunding the police no more. We are talking about defunding sanctuary cities.
Hey, can I ask like one of the things I used to always trip on, Jimmy, you probably relate to this, and I'm assuming it because you've been gone a long time. Like, I watch generational families come in and work in corrections in the prisons. Like, I watched the grandfather, the sons, the uncles, the aunties, all the boys were the officers and all the women, or however they identify themselves, like they were the nurses and the counselors. And then I would have people like Bill Ryan, who was working with us to end the death penalty, and he would be so frustrated with the hostility, the way they are so hostile to our loved ones when they come to try to love on us. And I'm going to say this to him, he's 90, so I think he can get away with it. He used to be like, man, let's just blow it up, because there's nothing good about it. And I used to say, no, we still here, though. You can't blow it up. And I want to remind y'all, like, when we talk about these things, that our people are still stuck back there, right? And so, like, when I talk about these political perspectives, I'm always thinking about, I want to be able to go back and arm our people. Like, I want to give them the tools to fight for their liberation and not stand outside the prison with a bullhorn hollering at them, because while those things are necessary in their moments, and I don't want to minimize those things, But that's not my work. Like, I work with going back, trying to help the guys and the women and everybody learn how to defend themselves, how to file a clemency, how to file a Joe Coleman, how to deal with the system to try to get out here to join the army to get our people out. And so for me, it's funny that we spend so much money, because that's our money, because I pay taxes now. And so what we don't think about is while we're talking about all these things, we're the ones funding it. And so that's why I would rather say, well, hell, let me elect who I want to be in there. I would love for, and I know you wouldn't do it, Bella, but I'm going to just use you as an example, forgive me, right? But I would love to be stopped and in the car, like, what you doing, man? I'm like, nothing. She's like, all right, go home about your business. Like, we need our people to be our protectors and our patrollers, because the world that we're dreaming about, talking about, has to happen, and we're not building the container. So while I don't ever want to call the police. Never. I didn't want to call them when I was in prison, but I had to call them. You know why? Because they the ones opened the damn door. The door couldn't get open if I didn't call them. But anyway, like, for me, I just think that's important.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask one more question about the national election, and then we can move on, because I spoke with Jimmy earlier. I know this is something he wants to get in on, but the rest of you are obviously welcome. So the Marshall Project, they've been doing some surveys on incarcerated people since 2020. I think we all know of them. And in a recent survey with more than 54,000 people in 785 prisons and jails in 45 states and the District of Columbia, they found that a majority of respondents said they would vote for Trump. Support was particularly strong among white men, and a substantial minority of black men said that they would vote for Trump as well. Now, there is the caveat there that was a self-selecting survey, and the Marshall Project admits that it did skew whiter. That said, what do you make of these findings? Jimmy, I'll start with you. But
Well, I think there is some truth to it, in that a lot of people think that people that are incarcerated are monolithic, that they're all going to say
Right.
and be on the same page. We all will have leaned towards the Democratic Party. But there's a lot of people that are very conscious or woke that look at it like this. Like a lot of the panel have been saying, that the Democrats are not doing it. I believe, it's really, we look at people like the neoliberals. If we just look at that for just 1 second, the people that say that they're about trying to bring change or progressive policy, we don't really see it happening. It's just like you said, every 4 years we're having these same conversations and nothing really seems to change, because they're all subservient to what? The big corporations, big agri, big pharma, NRA. If we had stronger or stricter gun policies, we wouldn't see the gun violence. If we would invest in our communities, we wouldn't have a need for prison. Like the $900 million, come on. Anyone in this room could say they could take $1 billion and look at it and say, I know what we could do in our community, and nobody's going to come to prison, So, I mean, it's just it's really simple to solve, but people don't seem to get there. So the same thing happens in prison. Why I say that? Because a lot of people have a lot of discontent for the Democrats. And so, like, I might as well go with the Republicans, because when Trump, he did the First Step Act, or he did this, he did that, he's going to be the first felon, possible felon that might be the president. So, there's more, they see more in him than they do with the Democratic nominee.
anyone else?
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah, because I think and I want to apologize to all my academics in advance. So, no, I'm just saying, because we some really smart people, right? And I'm one of them. I'm an academic, but the majority of the incarcerated population are functioning illiterates. Like, people don't want to tell the truth, right? The number of people that have access to education is a really small minority, right? That being said, like, the people that people have access to is the Christians. And I'm saying this intentionally because it's real. And it's a real homophobic environment, right? It's a real religiously, conditioned philosophy that governs the space. And so when people start thinking, oh, this person is doing God's work, right? And you hear that, and so it's like prison to me was always like you live in a time capsule. And then every now and then some of the universities come in and they open the capsule and they come in. They come in and they flood us with all this stuff. Like I remember the wave of toxic masculinity, right? Like, what's that, right? I remember, like I can go down the laundry list of stuff, but the majority of the people were struggling with trying to pass the TABE test, right? A sixth grade education. Like we were doing the training when you all was like passing the thing about know your rights. I was a peer educator, and the majority of the people, I was walking them through that process. And so it's no surprise to me, but it is connected to the illiteracy rate. That people, like, and you can see that in the Republican Party, when you talk about the majority, and I'm not signifying on them, but you go into rural areas, and you kind of see that, like, slow kind of respond to stuff. Prison have a similar ism that people won't talk about, and until we start to knock the dirt off of it and start to begin to be really honest about it, then you don't get down to why someone would be in prison and look over at a Trump and imply, right, he got me. Because I couldn't see that. Like, I could never, and I'm just saying it, like, and I'm not saying this on behalf of where I work, I'm saying this on behalf of my person. There's no way in the world I can imagine ever voting for that dude. Whose name I won't say.
Echoing what Ronaldo said, and not just talking about inside of prisons, but our civic education in this country is horrid. Like, people don't know the difference between a senator and a governor. The majority of people have no idea how our judicial system works or how policy is passed or who any of their state lawmakers are, even if they know that let alone if they know that there is a state government and the difference between state government and U.S. government and all of these different bodies that technically have power over us and making policies. And that is like so incredibly intentional. And right, the best way to keep people docile is to keep them uneducated. And so that is at play in this whole country. If I was sitting inside right now and I couldn't get any good day credits, like because of truth in sentencing, which was passed under a Democrat, can you blame that person who has potentially done tons of programming and could be out, let alone, if not for this policy?
Yeah, it's tough. First and foremost, Democrats have failed us, right? Like, I think to put the blame on anybody except the people in power is a miscarriage of justice, right? Like, Democrats have failed who they thought they had for sure, right? This population they thought they had in a bag. Like, you have continued to fail us. And we know that you are failing us, right? Especially people in prison. Especially people in prison. Like, there's some talk about fascism right now. All right, like, no one knows fascism in America like people who have been incarcerated. Like this brother right here who did like 40 years for some 42 years for some shit he did not do. 42 years, 2 months, and 2 days, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, like, for people who have experienced that type of harm, right, like, it's tough. It's tough to have these conversations and be real about it, because I'm talking to people who just came out of prison too, right? Like, and I'm probably bogus because I ain't even telling them that they could vote, because they telling me who they could vote for, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, that sucks. You can't vote, bro. Like, I ain't gonna hold you because what? Like what? What, bro? I don't know. I'll be praying about it. I don't know what to do. Like, I I don't know what to do. That shit sound dumb as hell to me. Like, I'm just gonna let you go do that dumb shit. Like, no, I don't know what to tell you. Like, but it's tough. Cause like that's really where you at, and that just goes to tell me like how much work we have to do, no matter who wins. Right? It does not matter who wins. We are down bad. Like, you know how fucking down bad you gotta be talking about, I'm finna go vote for Trump. I had some money when he was in office. Like, what? Bro, you had $600 twice. Like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? A little skimmy. Like, what? No, that's crazy. That's crazy, but that's real life. Like, that's real. We can't just dismiss it, or we can't, like, in 2016, I was absolutely certain that everybody who was voting for Trump was a racist piece of shit. I was absolutely certain. Now, I really don't know what to call you. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not racist. You might be a piece of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But also, you come from an experience that, like, I just never would have thought, like, you would be somebody who votes for Trump, like, who identifies with him, who, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's men I love. Like, I love. And I thought for sure that they love me. Right? You know what I'm saying? I think that they love me. But I gotta hang up with you, because what you just say to me? Like, what? What you just say to me? Like, so I don't know. I don't know. That's the craziest thing in the world to me. Like, you in prison. And somebody called me from prison. Somebody called me from prison the day Trump got convicted. Got 34 felonies, right? Called me. This man is innocent, been in prison my whole entire life. Like, ain't did what they, I don't really like to say innocent, because you probably did something. You ain't did what they told you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't did what you in there for, but you did some shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but innocent of the charges they've been convicted of. And called me like, yeah, I need you to get people behind Trump. What? You need me to do what? I get to acting like the phone cut. I can't even, damn, these phones, click, like, bro, what? I don't even know how to talk to you right now, because what? We got to go way back. Like, we got to start the conversation so much further back that, it's already tough with Kamala, right? Like, we already got to confront some real problems with democracy, talking about her being the next president, right? But to talk about Trump, like, I don't even know. I feel crazy having that conversation. Just like, I could deal with somebody telling me they're gonna vote for Kamala, right? Like, yeah, we could start there. We could have a conversation there, and let's try to move you a little further left.
Something you
right?
can work with.
Yeah.
Fair. Next time. Sorry. The number you have reached is no longer in service. Okay, so the presidential election, it's taken up a decent amount of air in this room, but it does that sometimes. Cook County voters electing a new state's attorney, and then, we've got a little bit of time. It is the governor, though, who was reelected 2 years ago, who is the one who is the decider of rebuilding prisons to the tune of $900 million taxpayer dollars. Let's talk about the importance of local elections, especially for system-impacted people. Alex, I'm going to come to you on that one, because why not? Thank you.
You said the importance of local elections?
The importance of local elections. You can pick one. School board, I don't care.
Well,
all of them.
If you let's talk about judges, right? There are a ton of judges that are running to keep their job, right? When you go to vote, there's going to be a long list of judges going to say yes or no, should they keep their job, right? This is being recorded, so I'm not going to tell y'all to vote no on all judges. But there are campaigns. There has been a campaign for all of the judges forever that is a vote yes on all judges. So there has been a campaign widespread to tell people to just vote yes on all judges and not think critically about any of them. And so there are amazing resources like Injustice Watch where you can do your research to truly have the nuance and choice, but also you could also cancel out some of these all yeses for no reason.
You can also go to WTTW.com/voter guide.
Let's go.
And
So there is place for
injusticewatch.org.
you to do your research.
They're a good one too.
Okay. Because a judge, to keep their job, they have to get like a 60% approval threshold, which is more than 51%, right? They have a higher threshold, which meaning there's a lower threshold to kick them out, which is just 40%. But that is like the least utilized power through voting that we have, that we can use to disrupt the judicial system. And so if you can't convince anyone to show up to vote for any other reason other than like these judges have ruined people's lives, to show up to disrupt their people that just show up to vote yes, you know? And then like school board, if you're in Chicago, this is the first time in history we ever get to vote for school board members. And so history is a big part of our schooling, right? Learning history. And so those who don't teach history are intend to repeat it, right? And those who suppress history, they want to repeat it. And so if you have school board members that are down to just have horrible school policies, these are our next generation of society, of all of our human beings. And so school board is just like so incredibly important. And there's like an intense amount of money that's being spent in these school board races for people to put in their candidates. And then if you want to talk about state's attorney, that is a wacko race over there. No one in that race on either side cares about anybody. But if you just look at a picture of the Republican, Bob Fioretti, that man has run for so many offices and has a lot of history that you could look into. So, you know, that's a decision you got to make on your own.
Well,
local races.
Yeah. All right.
I just want to backtrack real quick about the presidential election and how the president, whoever it's going to be, has the power to appoint federal judges and the Supreme Court judge. They predict there's going to be one more justice stepping down for health reasons shortly. So that's important because we've seen what they did with a lot of the decisions thus far. We got to try to start getting back more people who would be so conservative thinking. Now, as far as locally, yeah, absolutely the judges. I know you have it there. And Justice Watch got a great report out as well, talking about what judges are unqualified. Just simply like say they're unqualified, but people go in there and vote straight party tickets, and they get retained, and they stay on the bench. And then they're there to deny petitions. They're there to impose these harsher sentences. A lot of them are former prosecutors, et cetera, et cetera. The state's attorney's race. We talked about there being a division amongst those that are incarcerated of whether they would go red or blue. Well, likewise, here in Cook County, you have formerly incarcerated individuals, you know, that are saying you got ex-cons that are not only going for Trump, but they're going for Bob. Bob Rhodes, they say he's going to now help. In the exoneration community, who I'm a part of, you have a split there. There are some saying that Bob is saying, I'm going to now fix the problem of prolonged reviews on claims of actual innocence. Or they're going to be looking at ways to try to get people get resentenced, you know. I don't know if that's true or not because I haven't dived that deep, but I'm just trying to give you the landscape right now. What's happening that I see is that there is also people that are saying, well, here instead of there. And a lot of people, like you just said, they don't want to see another Anita, you know. They want to be saying bye, Felicia, you know, but that could happen.
Yeah, short version, do your homework. Colette, what would you say are some of the issues that what would you say are some of the issues that some people that are important to system impacted folks? And I know you don't speak for all of them, but what would you say is sort of front of mind?
When it comes to
The election, either local or national.
I mean, when you're looking at a president, of course, the president, who has computation and clemency. And, you know, folks who are looking for their freedom, who have served many of years for crimes that are, oh my God, ridiculously. I mean, it's just like so ridiculous for crack cocaine and powder cocaine and how families are being destroyed and split apart, women in particular, with children, and they get this huge amount of time, 3 life sentences plus 20 years, and they're looking for relief to join their families. So the last person on the federal level to be commuted had that much time. And then you had President Trump, who was granting clemency, so that's important. Clemency. I would say healthcare, even, but then I just look at it on a state level. 2024, our governor has granted no clemency, not a one. And I think about how oftentimes I'm going down there to support people. I'm sitting on, we run a call every month called the Alliance for Criminalized Survivors. And you have attorneys, you have, folks from the community, you have folks that have come home after serving 20 plus years, sitting in these groups, thinking about how we're going to free each other and what that looks like. As people, I would say that, me as a formerly incarcerated person, I can speak for me on what I'm looking to see, and I know what I want, but I don't know what they're going to provide. So again, like I said in the beginning, it takes us to save us. Because they can say what they're going to do all day long. We've been taking care of our communities for this long. When people return to our communities with nothing, we try to support them and circle around them with what it is that they need. That's what it's about. Because when you come home after serving your time, you can't get a job, you can't get housing. It's the federal government. What does the housing look like? Affordable housing. We've been praying for that for years with every president that we had. So I really don't know. Like you said, we got to create. We got to look at this land trust and these open lots and see how we can build for ourselves. Because I don't see the government giving me anything. I have worked hard to get everything that I have. And that's educating our people around credit repair, what that looks like, how to buy a house. Like, it's so many things that we need to educate ourselves around instead of depending and relying on those being elected to do it for ourselves.
I want to add one thing about the local elections, and I just want to uplift the school board election again. I know somebody else has already done that, but again, it is very, very important. And we talking about beyond the ballot, right? So what Trump wants to do, or what the next Republican president wants to do with education, right? Like, Trump has said out his own mouth. Like, he be saying the part he's supposed to keep quiet, he just say it out loud. Like, he has said out his mouth that he wants to abolish the Department of Education, right? We are up here talking about just how uneducated a lot of our people are. Right, like, especially when it comes to civic engagement, right? But that's uneducated, generally, and we have had to fight tooth and nail to get this far. With this many people still uneducated and still not knowing how, the Constitution or how the judicial system works and checks and balances, nothing like that, right? We have fought tooth and nail. We have fought to get this, to be this bad, right? Like, Trump was on something that was like, out of 40 countries, we are the worst country on education. Like, we have fought to be the worst country on education. Like, we have fought very hard for that. So to imagine just how worse off we will be with people who are committed to not caring. People who are committed to not caring about the education of our youth. Right? Like, it's already this bad. It is already this bad. Right, and we talking about prisons, and we talking about, like, how censored the information already is, right? Like, book bans have long been a reality for our incarcerated community, right? Like, so just to think about how much worse it could be, how much worse people are actively trying to make it, right? And our school board election is so important because there are billionaires. There are billionaires who are investing money to elect our next board of education. Right, like you go home. A lot of us probably gonna go home and watch Netflix or something. The man who owns Netflix, right? Like we sharing accounts, okay? Like you know what I'm saying? It's only like $12 a month. I'm sharing an account with somebody. Like the man who owns Netflix, a billionaire, is donating money to the Chicago school board election race because he wants to have people on the board who are completely invested in privatizing education, so that people like him can make money off of our kids being taught some bullshit. Right? Like being taught, like Trump said, he does not want to fund schools that teach, and they call this new history. New history that slaves built America. What? Like, what are you going to teach then? Right? And if we can't come together, like this is what we have brought our communities together through this far, right? Is being able to educate ourselves, being able to talk about the history of racism in this country, being able to say like, okay, yeah, maybe you did do something bogus, but through and through, you in prison because you are black, right? Like you are in prison because this system was designed so that you would end up here, right? If we cannot have those conversations, if we are criminalized for having those conversations, then how do we do anything for anybody anywhere in the world?
Thank you. I want to give you all the opportunity to ask questions. I mean, I can ask more, but I'd actually rather hear what you'd like to hear. Are there any? Stand up and shout. Not everybody at the same time. Hi. Oh, he's not asking the question. Are you here to run the mic? Thank you. Here, do you, Bella, do you want to give him that mic, and then I will pass this one to whoever's answering? Thank you. Does anybody have one? Yes, sir, in the middle.
Hi, Paul Rothschild with the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments. We hear a lot in the news right now about like voting blocks. They talk about white suburban women. They talk about black women as voting blocks. They don't talk about formerly incarcerated people as a voting block. And yet that number outweighs many of those factions by a significant amount. Why is that group not thought of as a voting bloc?
Excellent question.
I think it's a lot of things. One, we're not as focused to organize. Like, that's no one else's responsibility but us. Like, we should be, in fact, in y'all office tomorrow, right? Just call everybody's office, let's form a block. Like, this is the type of stuff we can actually do, like decide, as a block, we're gonna come together and everybody gonna fill this space up and we're gonna figure out which judges will actually grant stuff versus deny them, et cetera. So it's really a matter, it's not the system isn't stopping us from coming together, it's us. With all the variables, because we're doing algebra, not basic math though, because you're dealing with unemployment, dealing with health issues, so we get distracted. And we get into all those other things, and other people have the luxury, right, to not have to deal with all those hurdles. And when you start jumping hurdles, you start paying attention to trying to get over the hurdle rather than coming together and saying, how does our voice sound when it's all collective?
I feel like my first thought is like white suburban women show up to vote. They really show up to vote. And I think it really comes down to our base building work to be able to like actually shift elections. And so we have formerly incarcerated people have to be looking at it as a voting bloc because they're actively shifting elections. And the organization Vote in New Orleans, you know, like they elected officials or candidates actively reach out to them because 5 of them at least, because they have the base building work done to shift elections. They have that power. And so I think it comes down to like political power that we have done the work to create and gotten people like bought into. But I think that like a formerly incarcerated voting bloc is like not at all what we should be striving for. I think we should be striving for base building communities, right? And most of these people, especially if they are formerly incarcerated, like, the more we base build to address our actual needs, then we are already connected and educated. So when elections come up, like, we already did that base building work. Everyone show up to vote. Everyone disrupt. But we're constantly, right, doing the work to not just ask for things from elected officials, but to do it ourselves and then demand, right? Like, that's how we got, like, free breakfast, right? Or how Black Panthers got free breakfast, was doing it and then demanding, right? Doing it and demanding. And so I'm like, you said land trusts. I'm just like, let's just take this land. Someone has a whatever, lawnmower. If there's someone else on the block that's down to take like a morning gardening shift, someone could take the afternoon gardening shift. There's people in our community who know how to grow a lot of food with a very little amount of space and could feed an entire block, all year round. Now that's something very revolutionary and very risky, right? It's not something that would be allowed. But there's history we can learn from of how do we protect land that we start occupying. Also, some of these lots are $1, so maybe we can just buy it and do it somewhat legitimately. But I can't do it alone, that's for sure.
I'd like to ask the panelists very individually. We talk about local change. Can you share what are the first things that you would like to see changed in your own personal communities? Just starting there.
I have the mic, so I'll just say really quickly. I really want better, bike infrastructure. I have had quite a few friends get hit by cars or I have almost been hit by a car many times, and it's just because of really poorly planned or not planned at all, streets. We don't have to be putting anyone out to have just safe streets that are actually intentionally planned. So I would like that.
I would like to see, we got too many vacant lots and too many abandoned buildings. And, when we talk about decarceration, we got big warehouses where it can be an ATC opened up, where they can be working in the community. It's so much open land in our community that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I don't want to take up the time. All right. I would hope that we could see more program in these communities, particularly with kids. I don't want to say at risk, but I will just say for the younger kids that are out there, that they have a space to go there. Because I remember when I was younger, and folks that might be a little older can remember this, is that they had either some athletic games that they had, programs, or they had just a place where they had a DJ in there, they're playing music, a safe place, nobody's really getting drunk and getting high, we're just having fun, roller skating, whatever it may be, just to try, like she said, building it back our communities. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, here we go. Yes, sir.
What's happening, everybody? Good to see y'all. My name is Dave Stovall. I teach at UIC. I really appreciate everyone's honesty about how folks are approaching people who are supporting Trump. And I wanted to ask you all, do you all think it's just us, and Bella, to your point, is it just us being down that bad, or are we really stoked in our own desperation in terms of folks being that troubled to say, look, we've been shitted on in all these different ways. Here's somebody, at minimum, who will do something right by us, maybe, but still shit on us. But we're gonna give dude that opportunity because we haven't seen the thing from the other side to do right by us either. And I'm wondering, as I hear that kind of growing Trump support, I'm thinking about, is it really a play on our desperation?
Hey, I just want to get into that really quickly, that question, because if anybody that has really studied history and they study what happened in Germany and how propaganda was used to build up, people are urban and desperate. And the person that does the best job of saying, I understand what you're doing. And I've never been hungry, some people have been hungry, but he has people who are broke that think he's really going to rescue you. And so he's a strange dead fellow that feels comfortable. And we wanted to intellectualize this stuff, and it's really, he's using basic, like the stuff that he learned from being a celebrity. Like he's been around, he's like, oh, people are really easy with that movie, right? Ooh, I really like you. Hey, I really like you, right? And you say that enough, he really likes you. And it's really, it's like we just wanted to make it so.
They like drama here.
Well, really, I'm saying, I guess. Well, I'm sorry, I just got excited. Only because what I'm saying is, I think it's a dangerous thing to think that it's as complicated as it is. It's really basic math, right? If I'm down in the mud, and then you come walk up, and I see people walking by, and then all I see, then the worst person in the community stick a hand in there and grab me. I'm like, oh man, you with me. No, I wanted to know what was there, right? And I discovered that you were valuable, because that's what the government know that we don't know about ourselves oftentimes, that how valuable we really are. You know, when you talk about the fact that we were planted in communities and then we're gleaned from, right? They built a hospital in Southern Illinois predicated around the prisons, right? And millions of dollars are allocated to do the services. And so it's a real system, but it's simplistic. And the legislators in Southern Illinois understand the game. We're the ones still struggling, and we're trying to unplug everything, but the stuff, we don't even have a real connection. It's just a matter of us getting a sense of what's really happening. And I keep telling people, prison settings, from my experience, after I spent 7 years in the county jail, 13 on death row, and 17 with life without parole. And I watched my peers be like, dang, y'all, we not in the 70s. But I thought I was smart, and I walked out talking like Austin Powers. You know what I'm saying? And I almost got canceled. I didn't even know what cancel culture was. And I was like, you know what I'm saying? Because we're that far behind, even when we have the educational certificates. The world has moved so, artificial intelligence messing the teachers up now, right? So I'm saying, like, we live in a world where we have to simplify this stuff again and say, why do it seem okay that you can, why would a person stay with an abusive lover while smacking them every day? They've become accustomed to, I can't expect nothing better. I just think it's really simple. It's just we want to overcomplicate it.
It can be different than that, though, Ronaldo. When it comes to abuse, you get to look at the person that can be the provider, have all the money, you know what I'm saying, and they're taking care of the family, not just because they're accustomed, they have no other help.
So
Like,
I mean,
say, why did she say? It's many reasons why.
no, that ain't what I'm saying.
Oh,
I want to take that out of
explain it, 'cause
context.
that's how you said
Okay,
it.
well, give me a chance then. Here's what I'm saying. We deal in a world where it's a lot of variables. So let's do algebra. You have the exponents and you have, right, the variables, right? Oftentimes, people become accustomed to things because it's comfortable, right? And this is all they have. I mean, we can get into all the unpacking all the things. But when I was in prison, I was looking for the person that was willing to hear me. I was looking for the person that was willing to listen to me, and I didn't care what they looked like. And so I began to figure out that, okay, if I'm going to get out of prison, I have to break the cycle of what's normal. It was normal to be around people that were gangbanging, that was hustling, that was talking crazy. And then people start saying, but you don't even know how to read. And so I had to go around a whole new culture. I had to get around people that was congregating verbs, etc. So what I'm saying is, why I'm using the words what I believe, right? That it's simplistic and it can be complicated. But when we start talking about why do people support a Trump? Why do people in prison, I watched it. I watched it from prison the first election. And I listened to the people feel like I have more in common with this person. And I feel it's normal to feel like this particular person understands me no matter, even though they abuse me. And so it's a lot to unpack in that. But if you take it and break it down in the simplest form, in my opinion, it's like when I was on death row, the people that I empathized with were the people that was going to executions. For the person who had lost a loved one, they had a different narrative, right? I watch, and this is all connected. Like even right now, Donald Trump elected Supreme Court justices that refused to give a stay to for a brother that was innocent, and he was executed. And people kind of like protested and did the stuff, but you don't even really hear his name anymore because we've got to become accustomed to this stuff, and we become accustomed to like letting this stuff happen. And so that's why we're steady pushing. For me, the federal executions will start under Donald Trump because he already said, I'm going to clear out death row. But then the sister haven't said that she won't. And Biden isn't saying he's going to pardon them. So this stuff is important to me, right? 27 states in the country still have the death penalty, right? 7 of those states have moratoriums against the death penalty. And we're not even talking about that stuff. So it's like that's the stuff that gives them the foundation to hold on and say, okay, let's give them all life without parole. Because they want to negotiate with lives. And it's really simple stuff they did. Hitler did it in the 30s, 40s, right? Trump is doing it now. The same blueprint. He's not doing anything different.
He asked me a question. So, to your question, you said, is it just out of desperation, or are we just...
Are we down that bad, or is it, are we down that bad, and is it a play on our desperation? Because we're down so bad, is this another play on our desperation?
Oh, okay. I'm happy I even got an opportunity to get you to clear that up, because I'm like, yeah, I think yes and. Right? Like, yes, we are down bad. Yes, they know we are down bad. Anytime, I think I don't want to sit up here and make no analogies to abusive relationships. It's not that deep to me, honestly, truly. It's really not that deep to me. What I have heard personally, right? Like what I have heard, what I have observed, sexism is real. Sexism is real, right? Like that's the elephant in the room. Right, when we are talking in our communities, I am talking to sexists, right? And to men who think that they love me but have no idea, have no skills to love me because they are sexist, because they are fundamentally sexist, because they do not believe that a woman should be in that position of power, right? Like men have told me that, and told me that Allah said so. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so sexism. Desperation. I keep hearing, I'm so sick of black people telling me Trump gave us some money like we didn't steal that shit. And we on camera. I ain't steal nothing. Lord. But, come on now. Like, if that ain't desperation, I don't know what is, because, baby, why are you talking to me about $600 from 4 years ago? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you down bad, baby. Like, you down bad. You down bad, because I don't know what you thought that $600, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no way you was going to still have that $600 or that $600 going to help you today. Like, I'm just so thrown off by that conversation. But it goes to the desperation aspect, right? Like, ain't nobody never gave me nothing. At least he gave me $600. You know? That's more than they could say about Democrats. That's more than they could say about anybody else. So, yeah, I think they are really playing on that. And I think it was very strategic. Donald Trump would not let them checks go out until his name was on it. You know, so I think that they've been playing on our desperation for a very long time. The First Step Act was very much so a crawl, okay? Like, we ain't even learned how to walk yet, all right? We just crawling our way towards it. And that was enough for people, right? For some people, because again, it's still more than you have done. So I think, yes, that they are playing on our desperation, but I still just don't think that they're, like, that, again, that talks to me about our failures, about our shortcomings, right? Like, we have all these great aspirations, but we have very great shortcomings, too, because we are not, like, they can't even point to us and say, you gave me $600. You know what I'm saying? So, like Ronaldo talked a lot about building a container. Like, we have to give people an alternative. We have to give people an alternative, and Kamala just does not seem like a good alternative to some people, right? Like, some people have really told me, like, well, yeah, Democrats have failed us this long, let's try something new, as if Republicans are new. Like, that's really the shit that killed me. Like, what do you mean? Like, try something new. Like, I would very much support you telling me that you won't vote for Jill Stein. Like, I love that for you, please. You know what I'm saying? Like, please. I think we can both beat Trump and send a clear message to the Democrats that this shit is not it either, right? I think that we can do both. But,
I definitely think people are desperate. How much are eggs these days? Like, people can't afford shit. Like, the inflation, and it's like we keep calling it inflation, but we know it's just like corporate greed, because we're literally seeing these like CEOs have record profits, but we can't afford rent. Like, people are facing eviction, and so I think people are very desperate, and the only place for change that we've been taught in America is every 4 years through our president. And so it's just making wild choices between, one of these people, when ultimately the best way that we're going to get eggs is either by figuring out how to take it or get the chickens, right? Build our own chicken coops. We could have chicken coops on every corner. Okay, people? Like, we don't need Juasco. Okay, y'all?
All right. Thank you, everyone. I wish we had more time. I think this panel could probably go longer, but it's getting late on a school night. Y'all got to go to bed, too? Yeah.
I wanted to just, before we end, promote one event with the Coalition to Decarcerate and Walls Turn Sideways next Friday, November 9th. As you know, a lot of people were just transferred from Stateville to a lot of prisons, and they lost a lot of their belongings. They were either just thrown out or lost. And so this is a fundraiser to specifically help replace some of the lost items. So there will be flyers outside on the Pearl, Illinois table. So please join us. If you're looking for another place to keep continuing this conversation, if you know a vacant lot or a vacant building that you have a different dream for, let's talk about it. I might not be the one, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Thank you, Alex. All right, would you help me thank our panelists, please? Should I turn it back over to you? I'm going to turn it back over to Alice Kim. Thank you.
I just want to thank Brandis and all of our panelists and all of you for being here tonight. One thing that I did hear and see loud and clear from the panel was that, this panel is filled with people who are every day doing the work to make our lives, our communities better. And I think that that is what we can all do. I mean, I also did hear one theme of not just developing a formerly incarcerated voting bloc, but a community that actually has political power. And I think that we can begin to do that work of building that through conversations like this, but then taking it, keeping it real, taking it beyond the ballot and doing the work that each one of the people on this panel and so many people in this room represent, doing the work every single day. So you saw all the tables that were here in the hallway, on the way in, all of those tables still have some literature on them. Make sure that you pick up that literature. Make sure you talk to one another so that we can continue to do this work. So thanks to everyone.